I'm Dottie Wicken. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Sheriff's Office. We're glad you're here tonight to celebrate the accomplishments of the men and women of the Sheriff's Office for 2018. To begin, we'd like you to stand for the presentation of the colors by the Sheriff's Office Color Guard. Then you'll remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as Staff Chaplain Charlie Ammons gives the invocation.
May you bow your head with me as we pray. Almighty God, we invoke your grace upon us today as we have gathered to celebrate the promotions and awards of these sworn officers and civilians alike. Our hearts are filled with joy for them and for this Newport News Sheriff's Department. Lord, you have prepared these leaders for this day and blessed them with the requisite knowledge, skills, and abilities to successfully do their jobs. We thank you for Sheriff Morgan, the leaders, the mentors, and the peers who have helped each of them get to the level of receiving these accolades. Tonight, we ask that you would lead them and all of us, O Lord, in the way of peace and in the spirit of service. And these blessings we ask in your name. Amen and amen.
Please be seated. And right now I'm going to turn the ceremony over to Sheriff Morgan for some remarks and some introductions. Sir?
Technology works when it works. But look, give the Newport News TV station a hand because they're always here. They go out of their way and they try to capture it because so much of what you do is outside of the public's eye. So the fact that they're here, the fact that they capture it, and the fact that they play it is it's a benefit to you and a testimony to the work that you do each and every day. I want to say welcome. We don't have the normal crowd that we have because I guess we don't have that many promotions this year, but that's okay. We still have some promotions. We still have a number of achievements that are worthy of recognition, and we always like to take the time around this time of the year to recognize our retirees, to recognize your good deeds and your promotions. So to the friends and family that are here, supporters, thank you for being here and thank you for your continued support. I would like to recognize in no particular order, Ryan Jackson representing Congressman Scott. Tempest Boone representing Delegate Marcia Price. And all the way from our neighboring city, Dr. Richard Mason from the Hampton School Board. And he's here to support Sister to Sister. He said he's here to support me too, but I know he's here for you, Sister to Sister. Also, Marvin Harris from the Newport News School Board. A man that needs very little introduction. I think he spoke here right after he was elected, and he's been a longtime supporter. Delegate Mike Mullins, thank you. We have a young lady that's sitting next to me, and I'm not going to talk about her right now. I'll introduce her a little later, but most of you already know who she is. Judge Flythe, thank you for being here. And did Angel Nelson slip in on me? No? Okay. And last but not least, you often hear me talking about safety in the city is a three-legged stool. And Howard Williams spoke last year. That's one leg of the stool. I'm the other leg of that stool. And the newest leg of the stool is our chief. Steve, would you stand up? You know, Chief Drew comes to us by way of Richmond. We won't hold that against him. But he's fallen into place, and he's really taken on the safety and security of the city with a heartfelt energy that I think is beneficial for all. And we welcome him as a partner, and as always, one team, one fight. With that, I guess what I'll do right now, I'll move right into a brief introduction of Judge Flythe. Tyneka Flythe was appointed to the Newport News General District Court July 2015. She shares the criminal, traffic, and civil docket with 3 other judges. In the fall of 2018, she was honored to join the faculty of William and Mary's Law School as an adjunct professor. So we got to blame you for teaching these new lawyers, right? Okay. She served as this community here prior to being elevated to the bench as a deputy Commonwealth attorney in Newport News. Her team was responsible for prosecuting the majority of the violent crimes in this city, which included weapon offenses, gang offenses, and a whole lot of narcotic offenses. In 2013, she began serving with the Commonwealth Attorney Services, and she was doing counseling and training other prosecutors in specialty areas. Prior to becoming a prosecutor in 2006, she practiced as an assistant public defender in Portsmouth. She came from the dark side. Nah, just a joke. And before being involved in legal, Judge Flythe worked as a teacher and a counselor for at-risk kids and special need youth in the public and private sector. She served as an educator in the Baltimore City Detention Center and at Pines Residential Treatment Center in Portsmouth. And most of us that's been around for a while know about Pines, and that was no easy task. So there's a place in heaven for you. Judge Flythe earned her undergraduate degree from the College of William and Mary and studied law at T.C. Williams School of Law at the University of Richmond. She enjoys the wonderful privilege of being married, those are her words, to her husband, Darren Flythe, and being the mom of 4 amazing children. Judge Flythe, give her a warm welcome.
Thank you all for bearing with me as I move a little bit slowly. I do not have a good story for why my leg is this way. I broke it, and it's just because I'm a klutz. Okay, so Good evening to everybody. I'm often overwhelmed at the thought of the service that happens around me. When someone gives of themselves without regard for the same, it is a reminder of what we can achieve as humans when we prioritize others. It is never lost on me that I stand on the dreams and hard work of those that came before me and of those that today stand beside me in their own commitments to service. In addition to all of the duties that the Sheriff's Department is responsible for by law, it has also been entrusted with some of the most important legal obligations of our justice system. I never forget that one of the truest reasons that I'm able to do my job as a judge is because of the close relationship and understanding that exists between the judiciary and this department. You can look at the mission statement on the back of your program and see that even before you ever get to the policing powers of enforcing our laws, that its obligations are vast and invaluable. So before speaking to you today, I contemplated whether I would talk about leadership and integrity or responsibility and commitment or any other of the many attributes that the honorees clearly all possess. And I thought about reminding you all of the power of your badges, the weight that comes with wearing a symbol that is simultaneously representative of the power to enforce, a shield to protect, and often a shiny target of criticism. What you do daily to serve and protect our community sometimes gets lost in the hurried fashion of living today. At times, it may seem that as a community that we're too busy to see you unless we need your service or unless we're wishing that your services weren't needed or weren't being rendered. But I don't need to speak about any of that because all of those things are things that you know. You are those that are being promoted, those that are in the community as civilians and those that wear that badge. You lead in an even greater capacity now than before as you take on these awards. And you reach beyond your department to work with other stakeholders in the community and with these wonderful volunteers. Those of you being awarded don't need reminders of how to be leaders because you're doing it. So I humbly ask that you would just allow me tonight to be one of the many that stand in awe of your accomplishments. With sincere gratitude and thanks, I want to thank you for donning a badge and for some of those that serve even when you don't. I want to thank you for being the direction givers extraordinaire and oftentimes the first faces that the public sees as they enter our courthouses. Thank you for the sheer thousands and thousands of documents that you serve every year, ensuring that our courts run as smoothly as possible and that due process is served on our citizens. Thank you for guiding new jurors through a weighty and foreign process, for being the herders of attorneys and judges alike. Thank you for talking people out of getting themselves into trouble and saving them from contempt sometimes. Thank you for mentoring new deputies and advising young attorneys. I was one of those. Thank you for the silent authority that you exercise over our courtroom so that justice has the chance to be delivered and received. Thank you for being an escort for scared citizens and sometimes unruly ones. Thank you for offering your time and ear to families that are devastated by tragedy. Thank you for helping to preserve the dignity of a family that has fallen on its hardest times. Thank you for standing with integrity in the face of doubt and discontent and committing to protect and serve people that may not understand how much they truly need you. Thank you for the work that you do alongside our wonderful police department, showing your willingness to be one team with an agenda only to serve our community. Thank you for smiling. Thank you for the stickers that you give out to children, reminding them of the prestige and dignity of your post. For working in tandem with one of the most wonderful superstar groups of volunteers that I have ever seen. Thank you for showing respect for people who are feeling at their worst, whether it's by their own hand or the hands of others. Thank you for remembering to see people as people. For standing in the divide between your community and dangers known and unknown. I thank you for being the invisible force that protects loved ones on the outside and on the inside. Thank you for saving lives. And I'll just let that one hang there a bit. Literally, thank you for saving lives. And finally, thank you for holding the keys to others' freedom with empathetic authority instead of dangerous pride. The honors and awards that you will receive tonight are just a small testament to the principles that you stand for, the integrity that you refuse to compromise, and to the people that you are. For the thankless job that each of you do day in and day out, I leave you with this thought. Now, before I get to the thought, I'm going to say that I tried really hard to find an authority for it. I couldn't. I did some research. I found a lot of memes, but I didn't find an authority, so we'll call it anonymous. But it simply says, don't feel bad if people remember you only when they need you. Feel privileged that you are like a candle that comes to their mind when there is darkness. Thank you.
Wow. Were those words powerful? They were simple. They weren't really complex, very easy for you to understand. And wow, they were so poignant. Thank you, Judge Flythe. Thank you. At this time, we're going to get to what we came here to do. And I'm going to turn this back over to Dottie and Lieutenant Meebane to tell me what to do.
Thank you, sir. There's your mic. Yep.
We're going to start off with our promotions this evening. Our first recognition is the promotion of Major Shonda Whitfield. She was promoted earlier this year. Major Whitfield arrived at the Sheriff's Office in 1996. Her many assignments have included security, classifications, and court security. She was promoted to Captain Services Bureau in 2013, and she served in that capacity until her promotion to Major. Now as Services Chief, she oversees dozens of deputies and civilians on the job in judicial services, court security, civil enforcement, transportation, and community relations. Major Whitfield continues to serve as the Operations Section Chief in the city's Emergency Operations Center. She's being pinned tonight by her husband Wayne and daughters Jalen and Jordan. Master Deputy Langford is one of 3 new Master Deputies from this year. He's the only one that's here with us tonight. He earned the rank in July. He's just been assigned to the K-9 unit. Before this assignment, he was an assistant supervisor on the jail's B rotation. He was initially hired with the Sheriff's Office in September 2011.
I held him back for a moment because, he left us and went to the Middle East. Did a little Soldier of Fortune stint, and he came back home. And when he came back, he said, "Sheriff, I'll fall in and do whatever I need to do. This is what I'd like to do, but I'll do anything." And he did. And he's been with us since 18. So he grew up with us, and we're so happy that he's back, and now he's taking on the K-9, and we're looking for some more great things out of him.
Next, we're presenting our life-saving medals. Sheriff's Office personnel are entrusted with the safety and care of inmates. 6 people are being recognized for 3 incidents which saved a life. These individuals performed an exceptional act under emergency conditions. First, Deputy Ciceri and Deputy McCoy. They were transporting an inmate to our jail from North Carolina when the man suffered a heart attack in the car. The inmate told them he had a weird feeling and minor chest pains. And when the deputies kept in contact with their supervisors and also the nearest sheriff's office, the man grabbed his chest, stopped talking, and went limp. Deputy Ciceri opened the sliding panel to the back seat, and through that panel, he commenced chest compressions and checked his breathing while Deputy McCoy, with lights and sirens on, drove 15 minutes to Halifax, North Carolina Sheriff's Office. EMS personnel were waiting there. They went with the inmate to the hospital and remained on duty until the Halifax deputy relieved them that night. They drove home, got a few hours rest, and returned to Halifax the next morning to transport the inmate to Newport News.
Go ahead, y'all can do it. You know, earlier when I said a lot of the work that they do is outside of the public's eye, if we weren't telling you about some of what they do, you wouldn't know. And when you hear about how they reacted, we always hear about when someone dies in custody, but you never hear about all of the times that personnel snatch people out of the jaws of death. And that's not just the sheriff's office, that's the police department, that's the fire department. Every day, they do a yeoman's job to try to preserve life, regardless of whether you're an inmate, you're a citizen, a private citizen, not in our custody, it doesn't matter. They go above and beyond. I just thank them. Just a moment. That's all right. That'll get Nancy. Hey, David, why don't you take my chair for right now? You take my chair. And somebody already gave you a chair. All right.
It's not an election year.
All right,
Our next life-saving award is for 2 nurses who are being recognized for saving an inmate who had a medical emergency. A deputy making rounds in October recognized that the man was in distress and sounded the alert. Other deputies responded to the cell within seconds, and the man's situation was assessed. Nurse Lachelle Evans arrived and determined the man did not have a pulse and was not breathing. While 911 was called, she and Nurse Patrick Dolan performed CPR and then activated the AED. They successfully reestablished the man's heart rhythm, and they continued CPR and rescue breathing until EMS arrived. The inmate was taken to the hospital for treatment and recovery. And that's, of course, Nurse Banks, who's accepting for Patrick Dolan.
As you can see, we're lighthearted here. You know, everybody tried to be all stuffy and everything. We just kind of just make it happen. But the backstory behind this one, we actually lost this person, was it 3 times? Between the time we first found him and the time he got to the ER. And between the nurses, the staff, the EMS, they brought this individual back 3 times. And I can tell you the individual is still alive and is still a memory. So thank you again for all that you do.
Our third life-saving award.
1 minute. I thought that looked like him, but the city councilman, Jenkins, come on up. You can take my chair. Okay.
Okay, one more. The third and final life-saving award for the evening goes to Deputy Childs and Major Coleman. They are credited with saving a choking inmate. On October 15th, an alert was sounded when an inmate appeared to be choking. Deputy Childs saw the man face down on his bunk with his hands around his neck like he was trying to breathe, like he had something in his throat. When the man didn't respond to questions, Childs gave a half-dozen back blows through the cell bars. Major Coleman arrived, the cell was open, and Coleman instructed Childs to get the inmate to his feet. After doing so, Coleman and Childs moved the man out of the cell, and they began abdominal thrusts. That action moved the item, the inmate's retainer, so he could breathe, but it had not dislodged it from his throat. EMS arrived, and paramedics, along with Deputy Childs, got the inmate to the hospital, and he survived.
A little nuance in this story is that you heard that he reached and did this through the bars. You know, we don't normally just open the bars and go in, particularly if you're alone, because you never know whether or not it's a ruse or some sort of trickery. But yet he had the consciousness to understand that this man was in distress and he had to do something. That's the kind of self-awareness and thinking and dedication that we get day in and day out of these employees. And I'll tell you what, I am so proud of the work that they do outside of the public side.
And next is our group award. Nearly 24 people were involved in the makeover of and the technology upgrade to our control room, the technical hub of the jail. Tonight, we're recognizing team members who went above and beyond to ensure that project's success. While we can't mention everything that was done, here are a few of the highlights. The installation of air conditioning and LED adjustable lighting, replacement of the subfloor and ceiling, removal of old technology and the miles of wiring that went with it, and the replacement of 2 windows and a ventilation fan to fortify and enhance soundproofing. Without regard to their specialty, these individuals ensured the timely completion of this major renovation project.
You know, this project, I can't speak enough about the work. Folks that it's not their job to do it, and they did it. The amount of money that it saved, when they said miles of wire, the building was put up in the 70s, and the wire that was underneath there had accumulated over the years. They had to sort through all of that wire, I mean tons of it, to figure out what was good, what wasn't. And the transformation that made in that room, for those who work in control, it made such a difference as far as life safety and also for the comfort of the people that work in there and the safety of the overall jail. And it was self-help because we did it internally. We didn't contract it out. And I just say thank you to the entire team. These are the folks that were the tip of the spear, but there was a whole lot of folks behind them. So again, thank you so much for what you've done.
Our next recognition is outstanding contribution to the Sheriff's Office. When Sheriff Morgan says one team, one fight, these 2 Newport News police officers exemplify that. First, Master Police Officer Nicole Newcomb has been with the department since 2006, and she's assigned to Central Precinct. She's a passionate supporter and promoter of our Search and Rescue Project Lifesaver program. As an example, MPO Newcomb was instrumental in assisting a client with resources and ensured that the client's family had the ways and means to get assistance in the home. For her continuing efforts to the Sheriff's Office, we recognize MPO Newcomb. Police Officer Brian Wilson is recognized for helping a Project Lifesaver client. In July, he located a client near Walmart on Jefferson and Mercury who had not been reported missing by her family. After endeavoring to identify her, he was able to do so, and in communicating with our civil enforcement sergeant, he assured the sergeant he would get her home safely.
lifesaver. And this is primarily for those that are at home that may see this broadcast later on. It's our contribution to the city. If someone has dementia or any type of mental incapacitation, and we need to be able to track them if they wander away, we provide a bracelet free of charge. And what's really important, the program is done on a voluntary basis. And when I say a voluntary basis, the deputy and members of the community get together and they raise money every year to ensure that this program is free. It costs about $300 to keep someone on the program for a year. It's free to anyone who lives in this city. And we work very hard. Lieutenant Patrick is passionate about that, and she has an army of volunteers that just go out and make it happen. So it's one, a testimony to the program, but it's also advertisement to someone out there with a child that may be autistic, someone with dementia that needs some help. Here in this city, we will put a tracker on them for free. Just contact the office. So again, thank you all for assisting.
Our next award is the Citizen Service Award, which is presented to those who unselfishly work to make a difference in the city. Our first award goes to Mr. Carl Player. He's been a volunteer with us since May 2013. As a member of our prison ministry program, he's dedicated to fulfilling ministry through scripture, prayer, Bible study, and counseling. He also provides great leadership to other volunteers, and he's a positive spirit. He's uplifting and encourages those he meets and works with.
We have about 150 volunteers that come through the jail and do something. Something that we can't afford to pay for. And every year, we have a volunteer of the year. And he was definitely our volunteer of the year, and then we recognize him again when we have our ceremony. So again, I just thank him for his giving heart and his dedication to serving people that are almost forgotten by everyone else.
Our next recipient is the organization Sister to Sister. This organization that has, for more than 25 years, worked to empower women and their families in Newport News. Jerry Strickland is accepting on behalf of the agency. Sister to Sister has a focus on community outreach in an effort to offer positive solutions to the day-to-day issues facing inner-city families. This group truly embodies the meaning of the phrase committed to making a difference in the lives of children, families, and communities.
You know, I would hope that we would keep Akima in prayer and her family. She had a death in the family's why she's not here to accept it. But I tell you that she works tirelessly to serve this community and doing it for so long. It's a pleasure to partner with Sister to Sister. And the way they get the students from Hampton University involved, and the way they just love on this community, they are so deserving of this and many more accolades. Thank you so much.
Our next part of the program is the presentation of our Deputy of the Year 2017 and the employees of the fourth quarter 2017. We're recognizing them this year because they weren't selected until the first part of this year. Corporal Monica Jones is our Deputy of the Year. in transportation at the time of her selection. In her nomination, co-workers used terms like professional, detail-oriented, kind-hearted, just plain nice, and a great teacher. Those attributes are serving her well now as accreditation manager, where she keeps track of the requirements of various local, state, and national agencies. She's also one of our representatives at job fairs.
She is so humble, and when you hear the fact that she is responsible for accreditation, we're talking about national health accreditation, PRIA on the federal level, DOC on the state level, the professional law enforcement accreditation. She has a huge portfolio, and as much stress as we put on her over all those accreditation, you see that smile? That's what we get every day. And she's a great representative and a tireless worker. Thank you so much.
Our deputy of the fourth quarter 2017 is Deputy Stephen Ciceri. He's up again. He was cited for going above and beyond every day and always being willing to help a fellow deputy. He got his start with us as a participant in our Explorer program. He's quick to volunteer to take part in our community events, and particularly those involving young people.
You know, to watch this young man come from an Explorer, and for those that may not know the Explorer, these are young people between the ages of 14 and 18 that we take and we work with them, and all of a sudden, now here he is in Brown, and today he's out Michael Jackson because he's getting all the awards today, you know, all that like this. But this is just to show you that we have some fine individuals, youth that get involved, and they turn out to be outstanding adults. And I just thank you for never giving up on us.
And I'm just checking, did Kelton Dildy arrive? Is he able to get here? He's a new dad, so he wasn't sure if he'd be able to get here or not. Okay, now we're on to our retirements this year. We had 5 deputy sheriffs decide to retire. 2 of them are with us tonight, and we want to recognize them. First is Deputy Sean Amby. He was a team NSO member for nearly 24 years. He worked in the jail for 9 years, 3 of them for support services as supervising laundry, cleaning, and property. During his next 9 years, he saw duty in courts, civil, and transportation, and he spent his last 5.5 years as a work release HEM coordinator. He says of his time with us, it was a great career for a 19-year-old who was not sure of the direction he wanted his life to go in. The Sheriff's Office gave me that direction, and it led to a great career.
Wow, give him a hand. We didn't have to use that in the recruitment video. 19 years old, no direction, and we gave you direction. I like that. Can I use that? All right. But look, Andy is sorely missed. You heard, he was basically a utility player. He went everywhere and did everything. And truly, we thank you, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
And our final retiree who is here actually isn't quite retired yet. Lieutenant Armando Morales, his last day is December 31st. He's been here 24 years, and during that time, he's worked in various positions in the jail complex. Night shift commander, day shift commander, annex commander, and since 2014, he's served as commander of support services. He earned master deputy in 2000, was promoted to sergeant the following year, and lieutenant in 2008.
You know, Lieutenant Morales, we talked earlier today, and, you know, I kind of understand where he's at right now. He said, boss, it's time. And he wants to go before someone tells him it's time to go. He said, my health is not all that it needs to be. Yeah, I hope I'm not putting too much out there. And, I just know it's time. And with that heartfelt, he said, look, whatever you need, call me. He's going to be missed. Another utility player, willing to go anywhere, do anything, and would give you the shirt off his back. And LT, Godspeed.
There is one additional award this evening that didn't make it into the program. Chief Deputy Colonel Eileen Sprinkle will present this special resignation.
Good evening. We're going to go off script for just a quick second. Now keep it short because I know you're ready to get to the food. For those of you that have been here in the past, know that Sheriff Morgan sometimes likes to surprise an individual with his special sheriff's award. We're going to flip the tables this time. And tonight, surprise is on you, Sheriff. All the accomplishments that we're celebrating here tonight, the professionalism of our organization, and everything we've done, we owe the guidance and the leadership of you. And for that, we have a small token of our appreciation for you with a crystal plaque, and I'll read it. Outstanding Leadership Award presented to Sheriff Gabe Morgan in recognition of years of visionary guidance and exceptional leadership at the Newport Sheriff's Office. On behalf of all the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, we humbly thank you.
You guys got me good. I'm not one that like the accolades, those kind of things. It's all about the organization. It's all about each and every one of you. And I just thank you for taking the time to recognize the effort that goes into all of this. Thank you.
Sheriff Morgan's going to come back and he'll deliver the oath and then have some final words.
Wow. A lot of people don't know, but I suffer from PTSD. And everything that I do every day is to give honor to those who are not here. But they made it possible for me to be here. I will never forget. Well, the one good thing about having a small number of recipients is we had the time to talk a little bit about each and every one of them. A lot of times when we have a whole lot of folks, we don't have that luxury because we try to stay on the timetable to come in, do what we have to do, and get out. I want to thank the families, especially, for lending us your loved ones. because they have some of the toughest beats in Newport News. They live 12 hours a day, sometimes longer, with people that society decided for one reason or another that they don't want out into society. That's tough. That's real tough. And I know sometimes they come home and they may be a little grumpy, and maybe a curmudgeon, but give them a little time to decompress. But I just want to say thank you, because it's not only them that are serving, it's you, the family and the supporters that's serving with them, and the citizens of Newport News. Thank you. With that, all those that got promoted and all those that wear the badge, if you would stand, Sheriff Office personnel, so that we will recommit to the oath that we take, and those that got promoted, that they will reaffirm. And I state your full name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me as a Deputy Sheriff for the City of Newport News, according to the best of my ability. So help me God. Thank you.
And that wraps up this ceremony. Thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of your evening.